Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. I'm out here standing in my grass in my bare feet, just kind of standing around on the yard, soaking up some grounding. People wanted to see what I'd done with the lawnmower yesterday, so I'll just spin this around a little bit and show you my grass is cut. See, there's the front of the house. Oh, and I used my loppers a little bit. I haven't cleaned up any of the mess, but I went through this bush and cleaned out a bunch of volunteer trees, and I did a bunch of stuff around back. But yeah, today, sorry about that little preamble to get things started, but today we're going to talk about what the studies say. Before I get into that, I do want to say welcome to all the new people. I'm glad you're here. If you want to take a moment and say hi, Bob, down in the comments, that would be awesome. Because anything you can do, leaving a comment, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, helps get the word out. And what we're trying to do here is get the word out about the carnivore diet to everybody. Do I think everybody needs to be on a strict carnivore diet? No. Do I think everybody at least needs to know it's an option? Absolutely. For those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. I am glad you're here as well. It's another beautiful evening here in Omaha, Nebraska. It's still about 91 degrees outside. The sun's coming down. There we go. I got a little sun on my face. I like that. Along with the grounding, a little sun on the face never hurt anybody. But anyway, let's get into this. What the studies say. What brought this on is I ran across a post on one of the Facebook groups that I sort of follow and decided I needed to chime in here for just a moment. The thing you need to understand about studies. There are no scientific research studies. Well, I should say very, very few actually qualify as scientific research studies relating to human nutrition. And then you have to take a look at the ones that are out there and decide for yourself if you think they have any validity or not. You know, I always talk about my N=1 experiment. Well, N=1 only applies to me. It's a one-person study. And the study in question, and other studies like it, you know, if they've got an N=48, so they've got 24 people per group, or if they have, you know, multiple groups of 24, whatever it is, small studies with very small N= numbers, you know, even if it's a few hundred people, that's still a very small study. So in order for that study to have veracity of conclusion, there needs to be a huge result, not just a statistically relevant result, but a huge result. And that's sort of the way you have to look at it. Now, we understand Bob doesn't do science real well, and I'm probably not going to explain this very well, but bear with me here because I'm getting somewhere with this. So basically, the fewer number of people that you have in the study, the bigger the results have to be to actually mean anything. And if, you know, that we still know that having relationship, you know, showing some kind of relationship doesn't necessarily mean cause. In fact, it very rarely does. It's like the thing that Professor K uses all the time is that if you take a look at the ice cream sales on Miami Beach on a hot day and the number of sunburn victims that show up at the first aid tent, there's probably going to be a very strong correlation between those numbers. Does that mean that cutting out the ice cream sales at Miami Beach is going to reduce the amount of sunburns? Of course not. That's ridiculous. We all know that's ridiculous. The other thing we have to remember about studies is that rat studies tell us what happens to rats. They don't actually tell us what happens to human beings. We can make some assumptions based on certain similarities, but they're certainly not cause and effect. But anyway, the whole point of all of this is I saw in a Facebook group, somebody was posting, they'd found one of the research articles on sucralose. Sucralose is the sweetener that's in Splenda. I think it's Splenda. Stevia. I think it's Splenda. But that's not really the point here either. All of those commercial grade sweeteners, like Splenda and Stevia and all those other things, those aren't the pure form of the artificial sweetener. They add fillers to it so that when you're measuring it out for baking and cooking, you can use about the same amount. So, if your recipe calls for a half cup of sugar, you can use a half cup of Splenda and get about the same sweetness. But this guy was all on his high horse about how, see, I told you that sucralose can damage your DNA. Look at this study. This is what the study shows. Well, if you dig into it, the thing you have to understand is that in that study, for us as humans to get the same proportion of sucralose that was given to the rodent subjects of this study, we would have to eat roughly 500 Splenda packets every day. Not just once, but every day for a continuous amount of time to get the same level of toxicity that caused the damage in the rodents of the study. So, sorry, but there's nothing to see here. I mean, who in their right mind is going to eat 500 packets of Splenda a day, every day? Nobody. Anything in too much is going to be bad for us. If I told you that it's healthy, you need to drink 15 gallons of water a day, every day. You might try it for a while, and then you'll realize that I'm getting sick drinking this much water. Water can cause toxicity if you drink too much of it a lot all the time. Just like I salt my food to taste. I actually use a lot of salt. But if you were to, if I were to say, well, I think I need more salt, and I decided that I wanted to have a half pound of salt a day, well, that's probably going to cause some problems. I say probably because I don't know, and I'm not going to try that experiment on myself. I'm willing to do some other experimenting. And I'll tell you more about some of the experiments I'm doing or getting ready to do in future videos. I do want to give you a quick update on the blue blocking glasses. It's been about a week now, and I used to never sleep through the night. I mean, never. One day a week I would sleep through the night because I was getting tired. But I'm up to about half the nights, with the exception, of course, getting up to do the old man routine at 2 or 3 in the morning. I've been sleeping through the night. And the other half, I still do my wake up after 2 or 3 hours, sit up for an hour and a half, and then go back to bed and sleep for another 3 or 4. But for this first week, I've slept through the night about half. So we'll see how it continues to go. I will keep you updated on the blue blocking glasses. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, don't forget the miniature golf outing on July the 27th. we're going to get together and cook burgers and play mini golf on the 27th, starting about 2 o'clock. Send me an email to let me know you're going to come, because I need to know roughly how many people are going to be there. I'm not going to mention this again until after the low carb cruise is over, because 90% of the people that are in this space that are on YouTube are out there on the cruise. I'm not. And 90, I have no idea. That's a number I just made up off the top of my head. There's a lot of people on the low carb cruise. And I hope they're having a fantastic time. I'm having a pretty good time just standing around here in my bare feet in the front yard in 90-degree heat, because I think it's fantastic. Even though the humidity is up a little higher today than it was yesterday, it's still not too bad. And I think I have adapted to the heat much better than I have adapted to the cold, because I still get really cold. But I don't feel the heat nearly as much, as is sort of what I was hoping for. But anyway, that's what I got for you today, folks. I hope at least it made a little bit of sense. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.